Good morning. Happy Wednesday morning. This is Cody with Secure Agent Mentor and SecureAgentMentor.com, and we are going to bring some midweek motivation to you. I've got my longtime friend and one of my father's best friends, Shawn Powell. Say hello, Mr. Shawn.
Hello, all.
He has been a mentor for me over the last several years. I've learned a ton from Shawn, and Shawn has a phenomenal personality. Everyone loves Shawn, and he has always been very good at seeing the people, and that's something he's always strongly believed in. Would you agree with that?
I think it's probably the number one reason why people are successful or fail in this business.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Thank you for saying that. Well, before we dive into your career and how you got started, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Okay. Born and raised around Kansas City area. Went to the University of Missouri. I actually interned with an insurance company when I was going to college, so I had a little bit of experience even going through college. When I got out of college, I did move down to Branson and had a stained glass business for, about 8 or 9 years. Then a friend of mine asked me about getting back into the insurance business, and I was a little reluctant because I was somewhat successful with my insurance or my stained glass business, but I decided to and went to work for a company called New York Life and was with them for several years, and then I went to work for Mutual of Omaha and was with them for, probably 13 years. That's where I met your dad. And then the last few years I've just been out on my own in the brokerage world. And, I really enjoy the brokerage world. I think it's kind of nice because one of the things you're able to do is you're able to kind of see what products actually fit with somebody instead of trying to put somebody into a mold.
Absolutely. No question. Well, so you ended up in the business. Who was it that someone asked you to actually come back in? What was their name?
It was Danny O'Neill.
Okay. You still remember it to the day?
Yeah, Danny O'Neill. He's still, he actually... He no longer works at New York Life, and that's one of the reasons why I left New York Life was because they got rid of Danny, and I think Danny went out to Marshfield, one of the banks out there, and opened an insurance business out there.
Very nice. Okay. Well, what one thing I do. What age did you start in the business?
Well, like I said, I interned. So when I was 19 years old, I started in the insurance for a small company called Woodman Accident and Life out of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Anything to do with Modern Women of America?
No? Totally different company.
Okay.
It was a smaller company. Like I said, my boss at the time was the founder's great grandson.
Wow.
Founder of the company.
Wow. So, that's awesome.
And they primarily did primarily health insurance at the time, and the reason why I didn't stay with it right out of college was because that was when the health insurance, it was going through some pretty drastic changes, and I wasn't as involved with it as I wanted to be. So.
Okay. Well, one thing I do like, again, before we dive in, one thing I always like to ask is, I feel like even more important than just money and kind of monetary possessions, someone's always got to have a why for why they do this. Tell me a little about what's your why.
Well, I think the insurance business, there's a lot of whys.
No question.
It's hard to nail it down to one why.
It is difficult.
Because there's a lot of different things. First of all, I love the flexibility that the career brings. I mean, you're able to be your own boss. You're able to choose your own hours. Last week I've got a 7-year-old, and they had breakfast with the kids. For all the dads.
Yeah.
Most of the dads are out working, so in his class, 20 kids, there's only 2 dads there.
Wow.
So you're able to do those kind of things.
Absolutely.
The other thing is, I know it sounds a little corny, but you are helping people.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I'm not ever going to sell somebody something if I don't feel like it's a win-win.
No question.
If it doesn't benefit them some way, and I'm very passionate about life insurance, and when you sell somebody a life insurance policy and you know that their family's going to be okay if something happens to them, that gives you a little bit of, good feeling inside.
Yeah.
So I really think, and the other thing is, I guess with the way politics have gone and all that, it really is one of those jobs that you get paid what you work.
No
and if you don't want to work,
about it.
If you don't want to work, you don't make any money. If you want to make more money, it's the only career that I know of anyway. That if you want to give yourself a pay raise, you just work harder.
Yeah.
You
just go see more people.
Yeah, see more people. And if you want if you want something, you say, okay, well, I've got to make X more money in order to pay for that.
Yeah, and there's a way to do it. There's a way to pay for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, would you say your why has changed over the years? Has it always been around, the fact that you love the flexibility hours and that you're able to help people, and you've always had a good heart. You enjoy seeing people benefit from what you do.
Well, and I actually think that it probably hasn't changed that much.
Okay.
But I do think that the why, as far as the flexibility, has become more important to me for sure.
I can definitely see that.
And you'll experience that more when you have children.
Right.
Being able to do those things. Being the basically your own boss and choosing your own hours. And those are very rewarding. And through the years, you'll definitely you'll understand those more.
Right. Yeah. And I completely believe that. I would say kids are in the near future, but not yet. Well, what did you do? And this is a real broad opening to the question. What did you do? And kind of talk about how you've met a ton of new agents over the years. Mm-hmm. What did you do to separate yourself from those that unfortunately don't make it? Because not a lot do. Right.
The statistics are not in the favor of a new agent.
What are the statistics again for the viewers that don't know them?
I believe, and it's been a while, but I believe that it's only about a 4% survival over 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's low.
Now, and that's with one company, so they may actually move to a different company and have a little bit more. But I know that statistically, the people that are actually in the insurance business, less than 10% actually make it.
Wow. Wow.
So
think about that for a second. Of all, say there's 10 people listening to this right now or that are going to listen to it later. 9 of you, if you're new, most likely, according to statistics, are going to fail. Mm-hmm. So pay attention to what Shawn says here so that you can get out. You want to be one of those 10, and I can promise you he's going to share some extremely valuable information so you can be one of those 10.
Yeah, I'll tell you a real quick story on that. I was at New York Life, and my manager at the time, he took me and several of us out for dinner, and he shook his head and just said, "Guys, I really like you guys," and he says it's just such a shame that you guys aren't going to be here. And we're all like, what are you talking about? And he says, well, statistically, he said, if I'm sitting down with 8 of you, he said, statistically, only one of you will probably make it. And looking back upon those people, I think there may be one other that's still in the insurance business, but he was pretty much dead on.
Yeah. Wow. So he sprung it on, baby.
Yep. Threw it at me right off the bat.
He did. Well, back when you were a new agent, what did you do to consistently see the people?
Well, I think there's a couple things.
Okay.
Again, I was with a captive agency at the time.
Absolutely.
And their whole philosophy, and it helped me a lot, their philosophy did, because they were very big into your natural market.
Okay.
And I do believe that you have to get over the hurdle as far as being afraid to talk to the people you know.
No question about it.
And, I believe that if you can help somebody that you know, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And if you really believe in what you do.
That's the thing. At that point, agents don't believe in what they do yet.
And if you don't believe in what you do, you shouldn't be selling it anyway.
Yeah, no question.
And that's kind of the thing. And I've always said, if I can help somebody out, put somebody in a better situation than they're currently in, I'm not doing my job to them by not talking to them.
Exactly.
But so I talked to them national market. The other thing was I found out people, even if they weren't going to buy from me, I'd go to the people that I thought wanted me to be successful, and I'd say, I know you're not in the market to buy insurance right now, Cody, but you can help me in another way because I want to base my business off of a referral program. And so here's the type of individual, and I tell them, I'm looking the type of person I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody, and I always had an ideal prospect. My ideal prospect was somebody that was married, preferably had kids, owned their own home, made $50,000 income and up, and cared about the family.
Wow.
Okay. And
so they're just broadly asking for referrals.
Absolutely.
You had a target of people you that's a good point. That's something that's really good.
The reason why it was, I can tell you 150 great reasons to sell a single person life insurance.
Right.
Okay. Protect their insurability, get it while they're young, get it while they're healthy.
No question.
Things. But the one thing that I wasn't in the market to do was beat my head up against the wall, so to speak, trying to talk that single person, into doing it. When I sit down with a married couple with kids, they have an obligation to make sure their family's taken care of.
No question about it.
And, very seldom do you run across, and I think one of the key parts in there is I always ask people that cared about the family. Because we all know those individuals that say, well, I don't need life insurance. If I'm gone, she'll find somebody else, you know. And I just didn't.
Do you really want her to?
Yeah.
It's like, go marry someone else. What's up with that?
Well, I always tell them, I say, well, you be careful with what you say. She might do that while you're still here.
Yeah, if you don't want her to remarry while you're here, what makes you think you want her to remarry when you're gone? That's a phenomenal point. What else did you do? Other than more natural market and referrals, what else do you do to consistently see people every week?
And probably one of the things that I did a lot of walking and talking. I've always done that.
Yeah, you just knock a lot of industrial business parts, right?
I used to do. I mean, and I still, even when I was a manager, and my son's actually walking and talking right now, and or not right now, but he started doing it for me. And I've always said, and that does a lot because it takes people out of their comfort zone. And I've always said when you're talking about, seeing the people, getting in front of enough people to be successful, there's really only two ways to do it. You can either buy leads, spend more money,
right,
or you can work harder and smarter, And by harder and smarter is, you talk to the people you walk and talk, you take care of the clients that have trusted to do business with you.
Absolutely.
And they will give you referrals because if you really do what you want, and most of my clients actually, it's almost an extension of my family because
no question.
When I go see it, if I'm in the neighborhood, I'll just stop in. Just last week I was in the hometown that I live in, and I had an appointment, and it was about a block away from another client. I went over there, and the guy was he was 82 years old, and he was digging post holes.
Wow!
Because his wife's a closet smoker, and didn't like the people behind her seeing her smoke, so he wanted to put up his little fence behind their patio. So
that's awesome.
And Jerry had just had some heart issues, and Hunter happened to be with me, and my son, and we stopped and we helped him dig the post holes. And when I was leaving, his wife gave me 2 referrals to other people. So
wow,
it happens all the time.
That you mentioned taking care of your clients and communicate with your clients. Would you agree that service should always be senior to sales?
I think it has to be. And one of the crazy things about it is when I go see somebody, and a potential client,
right.
One of the main reason why they're upset with the insurance business is people don't follow through.
No question
they
about
sell
it.
them a policy and they never speak to them again. And what's crazy?
Well, and the retention doesn't help either.
Well, and what's crazy about that too, Cody, is 2 things. Number one is that client will probably buy again from you,
right?
If you do what you're supposed to.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But you know, and it's so hard to get new clients. Why wouldn't you take care of the ones you got? You know,
it's easier to get a second sale from one that already bought from you than to go get a new one from someone who doesn't know you.
Absolutely. And then the other part of that is, well, we were talking about the referral aspect.
Why is that mindset so difficult to overcome, though? That, like, I don't want to go ask them to buy because they already bought one, you know, or I don't want to ask my family because I know and love them, you know, and I want to go ask a stranger to buy something, whether they even think they need it or not. You know, why is that?
Well, I think it goes back to what you were saying. I think people don't believe in the product. They don't believe that what they're doing for somebody is truly benefiting the person.
And the prospects, do you believe the prospects feel that passion and the fact that you're sold on what you do, and they start to believe in it more simply because of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times you just have to paint the picture for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a lot of people, I don't think people don't buy insurance, especially when we're talking about life insurance.
Right.
I don't think they buy insurance because they don't care about somebody as much as they just don't understand.
Right.
You know, it's never been brought up. Nobody's ever painted the picture that they might not be here tomorrow. And
you paint the picture, like you said, that you care about your family, that you love your wife, that you want to see your kids go to college, whatever it may be. Because a lot of insurance, unfortunately, agents paint the picture of death, and that's not what we sell,
right?
You know, at all.
Right. But what we do is we make sure that we cover the bases with them and say, okay, you know, if something does happen, isn't it nice to know that your family's going to be taken care of?
Absolutely.
You know, so I think it's very important.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Natural market, referrals, walk and talk to businesses. Tell me this. I bet 0% of the people that listen to this YouTube video at some point have probably never walked and talked to business, especially the new agents. What did you say, or what do you say when you walk and talk? Let's just say to a business or an industrial park, just for example.
Well, a lot of people will talk to industrial parks and they'll go in and talk to them about their health insurance. Okay. I always went and talked to them about their life insurance. I was really looking for the small businesses.
Okay.
You know, the people that had, you know, anywhere from 2 to 15 employees. Okay. Typically those, you know, there was either one or two owners. You know, a lot of times it was either sole proprietor or partnership. And, you know, and again, when you're in industrial parks, a lot of people shy away from those type of businesses, but those are wonderful businesses because, you know, these people are used to paying quite a bit of money. You know, another business.
And they bring in more money than people think, too.
Yeah. Another business that I used to do a lot with was farmers. You know, farmers are a great market. And the reason why farmers are such a great market is farmers, even though a lot of farmers will, you know, say they're broke, because a lot of times they are land broke because they have so much tied up in their land and the equipment and stuff like that.
Right.
But farmers, they're used to paying big money for things.
They have more net worth and assets than people think. You know,
absolutely.
Too.
You know,
how did you approach farmers?
I walked and talked a lot. I used to in the dead of the summer when I was young, in the dead of summer I used to have a pickup truck and I'd fill that thing up with water or Gatorade, and I'd see somebody out on a tractor and I'd wave them down and say, hey, you look hot, you want something to drink? And by the way, you know,
I love that.
I said, I know I don't have an appointment. What time you get up? And I've run many appointments at 5:30 in the morning before they got in the field.
Wow.
You know.
That you were creative. You saw a need, and you were thinking of a solution to how to get in front of those people that work 15 hours a day. You know.
Yeah, and I've sold some of my biggest policies to, you know, I remember one farmer, and he was just dead set against buying life insurance, and it was a special case because he had a large farm, and he was worried about how the farm was going to be passed down, if it was going to be passed down into its entirety to his kids. But his premium was about $1,500 a month.
Wow.
There was no way around it.
Wow.
And but I dealt enough with farmers that I was able to connect with him a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I asked him, and I still remember his name. It was Chester Glavin. But he's passed away now. But Chester, one thing I asked him, I said, because he was balking about the premium. And I said, well, Chester, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, how much do you pay for your crop insurance? And
you already knew the answer.
I knew the answer.
Much bigger.
Yeah, I knew the answer, that he was paying close to $250,000 a year for his crop insurance. Jeez. And so when we were talking about him paying
$18,000 is a drop in the bucket.
Right. And that was really what, when he saw that, it kind of...
That's awesome. That's a phenomenal question, too.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're dealing with people, if you can identify with them, and that's why we didn't talk about it, but if you can get to target markets and learn something about those people. See, I've always liked dealing with
they were in your target market.
Yeah, and I had a target market of construction workers too. A lot of time construction workers, they were just very simple people. A lot of them were really good people. They cared about their families.
Absolutely.
But they were just very approachable to me. And when you have a target, it's kind of like what I was telling you about that ideal prospect.
Right.
But if you can get a target market or a couple different target markets, it gives you something else to go with.
Absolutely.
Go see. So you're not pigeonholed into something. Now my target markets have changed over the age. Now I deal with a lot of seniors.
Okay.
So and now seniors are real easy to target because you know their age.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was telling you, my son's working with me now, and he said, you can't. He said, Dad, I can't ever imagine that there's that many seniors. And he said they're everywhere.
They are.
And he said, I live in a town and the population is about 22,000, I think. And we found out the other day that there were 5,400 people that were 64 and above.
Wow. A quarter of the market.
A quarter of the market.
Is that, wow. That's strong.
Yeah.
That's strong. So natural market referrals, walked and talked to businesses, walked and talked to farmers, went and gave farmers water when they needed it, Gatorade, give them energy, whatever it was. You used to talk about mortgage protection a while back too. Is that something you did early on, or was that later on in your career?
Early on.
Okay.
Early on.
Okay.
It basically,
you can see he has a lot of target markets, a lot of avenues, and when you start having a lot of avenues that you're focused on, and you have specific targets within those avenues, you start to see some business come out of those.
Yeah, and one of the things, and that brought up a really good point, Cody. I think that this should be stressed. One of the things that I've found through the years, and I've been in the business over, between 20 and 25 years now, that your marketing and the way you approach people is always evolving. And it has to evolve for different reasons. When I first got in the business, I could open a phone book and just go down the line because my old manager, if you didn't have people to call, he would put a phone book in front of you and he said, "Do you want to start at the front or do you want to start at the back?"
There was no do not call.
There was no do not call list. So as the do not call list became more, we can buy a list all the time that will tell how many people are 65. But of those 5,400 that I was mentioning, there were, or I would say there's probably only maybe 150 that actually are not on the do not call list and have their phone. Phone book.
No question.
There's very few people.
No question about it.
So you've got to do, and when I did my mortgage protection, it was great because really, when we're talking about life insurance, you've got to have a need, okay? And not only that, we in the insurance business, we know there's always a need.
No question.
I mean, very seldom is there not a need for life insurance.
Right.
Maybe the person doesn't see the need. But there's always going to be a need. But one of the things that happens is there's life-changing events that will trigger people to think more about it.
Yeah.
And I used to have a few mortgage brokers that I worked with, and what I would do is this was when the interest rates were rapidly changing, and in my fact finding, I would ask a few questions about their mortgage. Maybe I get them to refinance their house with a buddy of mine, lower their payment by a couple $100, and free up that money to pay for that insurance that that they were balking about, that they didn't have the money.
Exactly.
But then in turn, when I give that business to the mortgage brokers that I had, I'd simply ask them for a favor in return, is that when they were closing a mortgage with somebody, I would just have them, do you want the type of mortgage that's paid off in the event of your death? And if they did, he would simply say, I'm going to have a friend of mine give you a call, and he'll go over the several different plans,
I love that.
Available. And because it was, when you think of why people buy life insurance, it's either, a big debt that they just incurred,
right?
Okay, like a home, or a new, you were talking about kids in the future. When people get married, when people have children, those are life-changing events.
Absolutely.
That trigger, and a lot of times it's the female that triggers it. Okay, we're getting this house, but, we're using both of our incomes, or I'm a stay-at-home mom. If something happens to you, I'm sunk, so we need something to pay this home off.
Exactly.
So now, one of the things I used to do a lot of mailing to mortgage, new mortgages.
Okay.
Well, the problem with it is those response rates have gone way down.
Yeah.
It's gone way down. So unless you can get a strategic alliance with a mortgage broker or a couple mortgage brokers, it doesn't work as well.
Well, and that you bring up networking too. We haven't talked about that, but it sounded like you had a network of individuals that you worked with, and it was probably even more than just the mortgage broker. I don't know, but
yeah, well, it's one of the things. There's a lot of different organizations out there now, BNI, and the mob, and there's a couple different ones. But really, all they're basically structured around relationships and helping people, market their service or their product or whatever. Now, what I did, again, I'm an old man, so when I was in the business,
he's not that old.
It was before BNI or the mob or any of those came out. So what I did was I had my own. We used to call them strategic alliances. It was the
I like that.
The mortgage broker, the attorney, and like if you do good fact finding, you're going to uncover. It's like, okay, you run across somebody that's 50 years old, and you say, have you got your will and trust in place? And they say no. Well, I've got this guy. He's able to do a simple will for you for $150.
Yeah.
Okay. If you need trust work, he'll cut you a little bit of a deal.
You killed two birds with one stone there. You talk about networking, and you also talk about fact finding.
Absolutely.
Which Shawn he's actually one of the individuals that taught me how important fact finding is. I didn't get it. I was a 19, 20-year-old kid. I just didn't get it, But it's so important in our business. We have to.
Well, there's two things, and again, there's two types of sales that you're going to make in this business. There's your one appointment close. Okay, that's when you're going, and maybe it's a final expense life policy that you're just going to go. You find out that they don't have any insurance. You need some, final expense insurance, enough money to, bury you and pay for a few final expense. Or maybe it's a Medicare supplement or something like that.
Right.
We're able to save you some money off of what you're currently doing. But even there's so much business that's walked by because people don't have some structured fact finder that they go with. And on your larger life cases, when you do a fact finder, there's a couple things that it does. Number one is it uncovers and secures that need. Yeah. And that's huge. Okay.
Absolutely.
But as you're going through these, while you're uncovering it for yourself, you're also uncovering it for that individual as well. Because he's like, well, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, and that's not something they sit around and think about. And that reminds me, I need to make sure I show you. I haven't even showed Shawn our new fact find. I don't know if I did or not.
I think I saw it come across.
Okay, probably emailed it out at some point. Yeah, I spent about 4 or 5 weeks building something for our mentorship agents and all of our agents to use.
Yeah, because it's a lot. The kind of fact finding that I use. So the 4 areas of concern has always been something.
Back to the money bag presentation that you taught me years and years ago.
It's the same concept.
Yeah,
you know, it's
exactly.
it's always about here's what the concerns of the people are going to be, and when you understand what those concerns are, you're able to make those recommendations to people, and now you've become a trusted advisor, not a policy peddler.
Exactly.
And those are the type of clients that will give you the referrals because they trust in what you've done.
Yeah. You don't feel like the guy that's just selling them and forgetting them. You feel like the guy that's going to be there forever, that they can trust, and that's an actual advisor instead of just a salesperson.
Right. Right. And I think the people can see that.
Yeah.
Up until probably 4 or 5 years ago, every one of my closes was a 2 appointment. I'd do the first appointment, I would just go gather the information, and then I would come back with a recommendation later on. Okay. And it was almost always done that way.
Wow.
And, it was a perceived value.
Right.
Now,
no question.
one of the things that I did, with the price of gas the way it got and all that, a lot of times when I was doing a fact finder, and this is something that's hard for a new person to do.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I'm doing a fact finder with somebody and I find out that the only thing that's there is maybe a final expense policy, or maybe there's no, because one of the things you have to ask in that fact finder is how much money can you set aside?
Exactly.
And that's one of the biggest things that agents forget to ask, because I always tell people I can put together the best plan in the world for you. But if it doesn't fit in your budget, it's not going to do either one of us any good.
Exactly.
But if I'm talking to an individual,
you can save a lot of time later on in the close process by pre-qualifying and knowing what you need to propose.
But if I'm there and I'm talking to a young individual and married and has 2 kids, and I say, hey, Cody, how much can you set aside to make sure that all these are taken care of? And you say, I'd like to do something more, but to be honest with you, I probably can only set aside $25, $30 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good to know that up front.
It's good to know it up front, and the thing about it is I may pivot right there and say, why don't we do this? Why don't we just get you started with a term policy, and just sell it to them while you're there? Because there's
there's no reason to plan and come back.
Yeah, I mean, if you're driving a half hour to see this guy, then you're going to run a term quote, and then, all you have to do is pick up the phone, your cell phone, and say, hey, can you run me a 20-year term policy on this guy? And one of the things I always tell agents is you always have to have a pack in your trunk.
Yeah.
It's your carton. We used to call them milk
I've still got a carton too.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And because you're not always going to have what you may think that you're selling them something, and then you get out there and it pivots all the way to a different company. And
Completely.
You're not going to, obviously being a broker, you're not going to be able to have every possible application. But it's important to have all your go-to companies in your trunk.
It is. It definitely is. When we talk about natural market, we talk about referrals, talk about mortgage protection, we talk about walking and talking to businesses, farmers, networking. How many did you? I always tell all of our agents, if you see less than 5 each week, you're going to fail. If you see 5, you're going to do good. If you see 10, you're going to do great. Back when you first started, did you have a number of people you wanted to sit down with each week, or how many did you see? What was your thought process?
Well, and there's 2 different types of people.
Yeah.
Okay? When you're doing walking and talking, you're going to you have to see a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Okay?
Yeah.
But mine was always 8 to 10 fixed appointments.
I love that.
Now, one of the things that you can't, and like I said, I've worked with a lot of agents, and agents will work these numbers. And this is one of the things that I tell agents. It's important for you to be honest with yourself. Okay?
Absolutely.
And I got caught when I was a new agent. We always had to have, we had call nights, and we always had to have at least 50 people that we were going to call. And we had 2 hours on Monday nights that we called every Monday night for 2 hours. And we always had to show our manager the list of people. Okay. Well, my manager, looked at my list, and the week before I only got a hold of like 7 or 8 people on that list, so I just put them back on the list again. And so when he looked at my list before our call night, he's like, this is the same list you had last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't going to work. It's kind of like when you're talking about appointments, you know. Some people would say, well, I got to go deliver a policy. Okay. Well, unless you're asking for additional business on that delivery or you get referrals from that delivery, that's not an extra appointment.
No.
That's service work. And
Exactly.
But I know a lot of agents, they'll try to pad the number.
They will.
And that's where
I
can always tell you, Cody, as a manager, I will tell you this. If an agent is running 8 to 10 appointments a week, and they're true appointments.
Right.
They cannot fail.
They cannot at all. You're right. There's no question about it.
Absolutely no way.
They could be the worst salesman in the world.
Absolutely.
They could know very little about their product. Nothing matters.
Yeah.
You will succeed.
And I will tell you, I'll take that one step further. And as a manager, I never would call somebody out and be, that they were lying to me.
Right.
But I could tell when they were working the numbers.
No
because
question.
If they were barely getting by running those type of appointments. I had one agent that he historically would come in with 10 to 15 appointments, but he'd never have any sales. And I said, well, we've got an issue here.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let me go on some appointments with you.
I'm going to go on all of them. Yeah.
And he's like, okay. Well, what happened was that next week I was going to go, I blocked off the whole week to go with him because he had these 15 appointments, basically
right.
3 appointments a day. Well, he'd see me at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, those 3 appointments, 2 of them canceled and one said they were supposed to call him before we go. And so I kept, And
you learned what the real issue was.
Yeah, the real issue wasn't that he was running those appointments.
Right.
So, and like I said, I don't know if you have sales meetings or not with your people, but that's one of the things that I tell agents, be as honest as you possibly can, because the only way that you can help them
I remember that.
is if you have the right information.
I love
that. Because, when you have somebody, is it a problem with their attitude, confidence? What is it?
Right.
And as a manager, you've got to be able to uncover that, because, like you said, I've seen people be fairly successful. Now, the longer you're in the business, probably the fewer appointments you can get by running.
No question about it.
Because all of a sudden your competency level is up. Okay? And the size of the cases are higher.
No doubt about it.
When I tell this story all the time, especially to new agents. When I started at New York Life, one of the things that they always said was we were required to write 10 life apps every month.
Yeah.
Okay. And my manager told me, he said, you can't fail. If you write 10 a month, you're going to be successful. Well,
that's a great point.
I went there and I was writing my 10 life apps every month, and that was religious that I would do that. Well, I was doing okay, but I wasn't making the kind of money that I thought I would make. Well, one of the things that he said, well, bring me your book. When I used to record everything that I wrote down.
Okay.
All my policies were written down. And not only that, I also would write down all the demographics about this person. What their occupation was, how old they were, and blah, blah, blah. Well, what we found out when we started diving into it was I was selling to all the young kids my age, and we were selling term policies, and all the premiums were $12 and $15 and $18 a month.
I gotcha.
And even though I was writing the volume of it, and he says, so my boss says, okay, we can do one of two things. Okay, you're either going to have to sell 20 of them a month, or you're going to have to prospect to some people that can afford $50 or $100 a month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you a lot of companies, the policy fee is not commissionable. So if you have a $5 policy fee and the premium's $18, you're only getting commission on $13 a month.
Exactly, which isn't a lot, especially captive is like $50.
Right.
It's just
and
crazy.
So that's kind of what I did was I said, if you do good record keeping and you understand, what works for you, I think it's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree. How much money did you make your first full year in the business?
Oh, gosh.
Putting him on the spot.
That is. I'm trying to think because if I don't count my internship.
No, yeah, I don't count that.
I would say, again, this is probably 24 years ago. I probably made $28,000-30,000.
Okay. It's pretty good money back then, especially a young guy, you know. What were your goals? Did you have some goals back then that you set? You know, hey, this is my goals. I want to do this every week or every month, or this is my annual goal. Or
my goal was to eat every day.
Eat, have money for gas.
Yeah. No, and that's one of the things, Cody. I think that's we started off talking about the flexibility of this business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's a couple things. One of the other whys that I forgot to mention was the residual income.
Absolutely.
You know? And you know, my goal like now has changed because now that residual income means so much more to me than it did before.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was how much money am I going to make now?
Now, yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And now it's like, and you know, it's kind of crazy because, you know, most of the companies that I work with, they have automatic deposits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
They just go into your account, and you know, and you don't think much about, you know, when you write a life policy and you get renewals on it, where you say, okay, well, the renewal's only 8% on it.
Right.
You know, or you write a med sup, you know, you're making $22 a month on it. But there's really almost not a day that goes by that I don't have money deposited into my account.
Yeah.
You know, and so now what my goals are, I want to write so much new business, but I want it, that business that I write, I quantify it two ways. How much am I going to make the first year,
mm-hmm.
and then how much of it's going to be recurring revenue.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a big part of succeeding in this business and making it long term.
And I really think that, you know, if I look at people, the reason why people, we talked about the reason why people don't make it in the business.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, the reason why they don't make it in the business is they don't make enough money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the result of not seeing enough people.
Right. And, you know, what I tell people is this business, if you can do what you have to do for the
mm-hmm.
first 2 or 3 years, it gets easier.
It easier really does.
To make the same money or to make more money. Number one, those hurdles that you used to think were insurmountable as far as going, you know, I walk and talk today just like I did before, but man, I would, especially being self-employed, man, you'd make up reasons not to go knock on that next door. Man, it's nice outside.
Yeah.
Or
I've done it.
I got to go to Walmart. You know?
Yeah.
But when you understand that the residual income and all that comes from it, and if you look at the golf courses during the week, they're all flooded with insurance agents. But they're not flooded with insurance agents that just started.
Exactly.
They're flooded with the insurance agents that have done this for a while. Now they've hired assistants to take care of all the service work, and they're out there on the golf course. And sometimes they're out on the golf course nurturing relationships for potential prospects.
Yeah,
again,
they do that a lot too. They really do.
A lot of businesses sold on golf courses are
no question about it. Walk us back. Walk us through your week as a new agent. What did your week look like, kind of from day to day? Well, think about what was your week like as a new agent.
I think a lot of it has, because of the flexibility, you have to have some structure.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it's a good word.
I really think that again, when people come into this business, a lot of their whys are the same. I can make all the money I want to make. Get to choose my own hours.
I'm my own boss. All that.
But and I always told people the reality of it is you are your own boss.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is one of the easiest low-paying jobs you'll ever have.
No question about it.
Because if you don't want to work, you don't make any money. Okay. And you're right. You can choose your own hours.
Yeah.
If you choose not to work, you're choosing not to get a paycheck.
Exactly.
So I think the structure is a good thing. And like typically what I would do, and I tell people get up, get out of bed, if you, especially for those that work at home, get out of bed, take your shower, get dressed, get ready to work.
Absolutely.
Don't lay around in your sweats or shorts and,
It'll trickle until lunchtime.
Right. But, and I think that structure has so much. I was one that I work mainly out of my house now, but when I was younger, I needed to be in the office.
No question about it.
Just because it was just that when I got to the office, I was at work. And just like when I told you about, I used to make phone calls every Monday night. Okay. Typically, my work week was the same, and it's always been the same. And still to today, I'm a little bit more lenient with it than I used to be. But my work week was Monday, I worked from 8 to like 9 o'clock at night. And every Monday night, I had a phone session. And if I had somebody that needed to see me Monday evening, we'd have to do something else because I was not going to give up my phone time to meet with somebody on Monday evening.
Absolutely.
It just was too.
It's too valuable.
It was too important. Tuesday was another long day, usually 8 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. Okay. Wednesday was a half day. I worked usually 8 to 3.
Okay.
Thursday was another long day, 8 to 9, and Friday I was usually done by noon. Saturdays, every other Saturday, I'd work half a day. But I really didn't work more than 40, 50 hours a week.
You worked smart.
I just made sure that those were effective hours, that they were there. Now, going back to that.
You're putting several late nights, which is, it's our prospects are the easiest time to get hold of them is in the evening. So, I mean, you're putting in some evenings.
Again, it depends on who your target market is.
That's true, too.
You got to remember, back when I was working the mortgage market, I had a lot of these people that are dual-income families. Okay?
Right.
That means they're both at work. So I would, like Tuesday and Thursday evenings, I would run 2 or 3 evening appointments on both of those nights. So, I would try to, the first thing I would do when I was scheduling my appointments, I'd say, well, what time do you get off work?
Right.
And they'd say, well, we usually get home about 4:30, eat about 5:30. Well, let me ask you this. Is there any possibility I could sit down with you right at 4:30 before you eat? I promise not to take more than 45 minutes of your time. That way you can eat and I can get on to helping somebody else.
I like that.
And that way and it's not always a bad thing to catch those people before they're eating, because one of the things that we're all guilty of is dragging those appointments out longer than they need to be.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you've been sitting there visiting with them for 2 hours.
Easily happens,
so
really.
what I would do is, and then I would schedule that, I called it the meet appointment. It was usually my 7 o'clock appointment. Okay, and that was the prime appointment on Tuesday and Thursday. I didn't give that one up too easy. Okay, that was somebody that either a larger client, somebody that I've already met with before, and then my final appointment a lot of times would be 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And I told my wife, don't look to see me early on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays. Wednesday might be a little late because I'm.
So you didn't just show up and work 9 to 5 then?
No.
You were putting in a lot of hours. I mean, you really were.
I was putting it, and the thing about it is, I think it also has to do with one of the things. If you hold yourself accountable to the goals that you set, that's so important.
Yeah, no question about it.
And that's why I told you to work every other Saturday. If I hadn't got what I needed to get done, that's when I work Saturday.
Yeah. Well, what's your thank you for sharing all about how you first started and what you did. Well, what's kind of your focus now? How do you prospect now? What's your focus?
Well, like I said, I've changed a lot. I work a lot with the senior market. Still do a lot of life insurance.
Okay. Medicare and life and
Medicare
long-term care, annuities.
And really the one of the things that I do like that, because one of the things that enables me to do is it allows me a lot more daytime activity.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to identify those people.
Oh, absolutely. And they're easy to find.
Yeah.
They really are. How do you follow up? Do you have a system for following up, whether it be prospects you're trying to follow up and get in front of, or whether it's clients that are pending that you're trying to follow up to get paid on. Do you have systems for follow-up? What's your thought about that?
I got two different systems.
Okay.
One is I use a company called Radius Bob.
Okay.
I think some of the people here
Absolutely.
actually use it. But I also have a spreadsheet that I have everything on.
Okay.
And we use
on Excel?
It's a Google, but it's on Google Drive.
Google Drive, okay, yeah.
And what we do, me and my son, we can update that, and so we don't have to save it and send it, it's automatically
that's convenient,
updated.
isn't it?
And what we do on that one
You're welcome, Google.
Yeah, on that one spreadsheet, we put everything. We put their effective date, their address, their phone number, their birth date, so we can sort it out. If we want to do birthdays, we can do that.
Wow.
But if we're in a town, we can sort it by town, and we can go by, because we do a lot of just drop-bys on our current clients.
I love that.
We do a lot of that. So, but we separate it into our Medicare clients, into our supplement clients, into our Advantage clients, into our life insurance clients. And then we have the other part of it, which is very significant, is our prospects.
Absolutely.
And that's
what do you do to get back in front of those, or to sell those, or to see those? Or?
That's part of the spreadsheet. Is I always put what's my next follow-up.
Okay.
And like with the Medicare market, it may be that I'm not going to be able to help them out until the fall.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I put down there that I'm going to call them in the fall. I also will put down in there that I'm going to send them a thank you note for meeting with me, and then I will send about 30 days before I'm supposed to call them in the fall, I'll send them another letter saying that I'll be calling them in the near future for that appointment in the fall.
I love that. I love that a lot. That's I'm writing down. I'm hoping you guys are all writing this stuff down as well, because this is some phenomenal tips that we can all learn from. Now, back when you first started, did you try to improve yourself as a salesman? What did you do to try to improve?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you always have to be improving.
You do. If you're not advancing, you're retreating.
And some of it has to do with knowledge of their products. Some of it has to do with the why. Not for us, but the why for the person. What's the triggers that make people want to buy from you?
Absolutely.
And I have no problem asking people whether they buy from me or don't buy. Hey, do you feel like what we've done has been valuable? Because I'm always.
I love that. We put that on our fact finder too.
I don't mind having the negative feedback.
No.
And I don't get it very often.
No, I'm sure you don't.
But on the same token is,
if you're going to get it, you'd rather get it while you're in the home.
Right.
If it's ever going to happen.
So I can improve from it.
Yeah. Now, for all of our listeners, what advice would you give for prospecting consistently? It's a real broad question. You can answer however you'd like. What advice would you give for all our listeners? Probably a new agent, probably new in the business, probably a year or two of experience max. What would you say for prospecting consistently?
Well, if you're going to break your week into a 50-hour week,
okay,
you got to spend a minimum of half of that working on getting new people into your fishbowl.
Wow.
I used to call it a fishbowl. Half your time is built on just prospecting constantly. And be creative with it.
If we think about it, the average agent probably spends, an hour, 2, 3 a week max prospecting? Yeah. So I think you spend 25 hours. Well, and he's not saying spend 25 hours on the phone. No. Walk and talk. Go see clients, whatever it may be. You're prospecting for referrals or new business.
But one of the
that's awesome.
One of the other things is a lot of agents, they get the misconception that their prospecting has to fit into these nice, neat little bowls.
Yeah.
Your prospecting is
get creative
everywhere you go. I used to tell people, my wife I'd go to like a party or something like that, and I'd be like, who's that over there? And I'd never approach them at the party and say, hey, Cody, let's buy some life insurance. But I would,
I've got an app in the car.
But I would make sure that I took your name down, and I might give you a call in a week and say, Cody, I don't know if you remember me. I met you at this party. Well, I noticed the way you and Lauren reacted to each other, and you seem like the type of person that I'd really want to have as a client of mine.
That's strong.
And they'd say,
That's thinking outside the box,
and they'd
too.
say, well, what do you do? I said, well, I sell insurance. And I never have a problem telling people what I do.
No.
You know, and
you believe in it.
And I tell people, when you're dealing with your natural market, this is one thing that I've told Cody this 1,000 times.
Yes.
I always told people, when you're talking about your natural market, the way you approach your natural market is you tell people, I don't expect you to do business with me just because you're related to me.
Right.
But, Cody, if I can put you in a better situation than you currently are in, will you do business with me? And before you answer, let me tell you what I mean by that, okay? If I can get you the same insurance that you currently have for less money, or more insurance for the same amount of money, or put you in the type of insurance policy that you truly need to be in, if I could do that, would you do business with me?
You're not asking too much.
Yeah.
And you start that out early on in the conversation, probably.
Absolutely.
Throughout the fact-finding process,
Mm-hmm.
and warm up and all that. I love that.
That's really...
You're setting a precedent that you're only doing what's right for them.
Your natural market for a new person is key. And
yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you can get past what you were saying before, that you don't believe in what you do, these people are going to buy insurance. They're just going to buy it from somebody else.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's what's going to happen.
I love that. To think about that, it's like, well, shoot, they might as well buy it from me. It's going to happen. If you had to pick one word to define your success, just one single word, there's a ton of words out there, to define Shawn Powell's success in this business, what would it be?
I would probably say blessed.
Okay.
I've been, blessed with people around me that have given me the opportunity to sit down with them, with the ability to have that passion,
Absolutely.
to be somewhat successful. I could use words like passion and all that, but I think blessed is because there are a lot of things that I'm very, thankful for in my life.
I love that. That's good. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that you feel is important that we haven't talked about at all yet, or that we haven't shared?
No, we've gone over a lot. One of the things I would tell people, and I wish people the best of luck in this business, I think that...
and what you say may alter their success in the business.
Yeah, I really do. I tell people this is a wonderful opportunity for the right individual. And, the thought of all the great things that this opportunity has for somebody, all you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to do what I have to do to be successful for the first 2, 3, or 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it becomes a lot easier after that.
You maybe don't have to grind as much later on.
Oh, you're not going to grind as much because, number one, you're better. You've crafted your tool more. You've overcome those fears. And the thing about it is...
that's funny. You said two things. Will Smith says you have to master the art of your craft, and Grant Cardone says your skill will eventually be greater than your fear. And you brought up both of those.
Well, and probably the thing about it is, as a new agent, there's always one of the other factors that's coming in. And this is the one thing that I will tell you, and this is the reason why your natural market is so important when you're first starting. I'm talking about when you're first starting. Because one of the things that happens with a new agent, this is the reason why people don't make it in this business, they don't hit the ground running. Okay? And all of a sudden, because we don't have that paycheck every Friday.
Right.
We don't get that, every...
We may now, but we didn't then.
Right.
We didn't at all then.
But like I said,
and if we didn't keep working at it, that paycheck would eventually run out.
Right.
So like,
but the thing about it is, what happens with a new agent, and I've seen a lot of agents that fail. What happens is...
How many agents have you seen fail?
Oh, gosh, thousands.
I thought you were going to say thousands, yeah.
Yeah, thousands.
Don't be one of the thousands. What were you going to say?
But one of the things is, what it starts out is, treat every day as wake up and work that day. Don't leave it for tomorrow. Or, hey, I'll use it like, I want to go on a diet. I can't tell you how many Mondays I wake up and say, next Monday...
It's starting, baby. It's happening.
I just eat like a pig for the next week, and then
go get some barbecue.
But in this business, I think it's important to note that if you continuously let the days slip away, Then all of a sudden, you not bringing home that consistent income, that's where the stress level in this business. And that's when I can see people actually pushing and grinding. You mentioned the word grind. That's when you can see the agent.
I can feel it. You're giving me goosebumps, baby. You're getting me excited, because he's right.
Yeah, and I tell
you. Those days turns into weeks. Those weeks turns into months. Those months turn into years and years. And before you know it, you're in another career.
And I will tell you this from personal experience. My wife, when I first got into it, and this was the aha moment with me in the insurance business. I had been at New York Life for about a month and a half, and part of it, the policies had to go through underwriting and stuff like that.
Right.
And my wife said, "When do you get paid?" I said, "Well, I get paid on every other Friday." And I'll never forget. She said, "Well, how do you get paid?" And I said, "Well, I'll automatically deposit into my account." When that was fairly new at the time to do that.
Right.
And so that Friday rolled around, and I didn't have anything deposited in my account because I didn't earn any money.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my wife looked at me, and she's like, "I thought you got paid on Fridays." And I told her, I said, "I don't know. I need to look into that." But I knew the answer. Well, I didn't get paid because I didn't earn any money.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, "Okay, this is it." And I need to go to work.
Time to do it.
And the most critical time period in your career as an agent is the first 6 months to a year.
No question.
There's a couple reasons. Number one is if you can get that income coming in, one. But the second thing is if you can get yourself to create those habits that are something that you will ingrain in yourself, then all of a sudden this business isn't quite as unpredictable as some agents make it.
Habits, I love that.
Yeah.
We don't think about that, but you can develop good habits or bad habits. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. If agents have questions, can they reach out to you by email?
Yeah. My email address is Shawn, SHAWN, Powell, POWELL, 11 @hotmail.com.
Where's the 11 come from? I wanted to ask you that last night.
I don't even know.
Well, it was just...
Hotmail
may have just said, hey, you're the 11th Shawn Powell.
I had so many different email addresses. I used to have company email address.
Right.
And I just said, I've had that one for so long. I just use it now.
Good.
And even when companies are like, "Do you use such and such email?" No, I don't use that one.
Yeah.
Well, do you want us to get? No, because I used to, at one point I was checking 4 or 5 emails at a time, and it just got to be a grind.
I know how that is. If you need to reach out, again, Shawn.Powell 11 @hotmail.com. Thank you very much for joining.
No problem.
Really
Good luck, guys.
It. Again, this is Cody with Secure Agent Mentor and SecureAgentMentor.com. Thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for listening. Grind. The first 6 months to a year are extremely important, and see 8 to 10 real, honest, live people every single week.
Yep.
Have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome next week, and thanks again for listening.